I'd like to recount a story I read in Bagua, a book by Dr. Yang Jingming and Master Liang Shuyu, that I feel neatly sums up where I've been in life and how to move forward. Once upon a time there was a 12-year-old boy whose parents had been killed during a war. He came to the Shaolin Temple and asked to see the head priest. When he was led to the head priest, the boy knelt down and said, "Honourable Master, would you please accept me as your Kung Fu student? I will respect, obey and serve you well, and I won't disappoint you." As the head priest looked at the boy, he felt like he had to give him a test before he could accept him as a student. He said, "Boy, I would like to teach you Kung Fu, but I have to leave the temple for 1 year to preach. Could you do me a favour while I'm gone?" The boy was glad to have a chance to prove that he could be a good student, and so he said, "Certainly, Honourable Master. What would you have me do?" The head priest led the boy out of the temple and pointed to a big tree. He said, "I have always wanted a good carving of the Buddha. See that tree? Could you chop it down and make it into a Buddha for me?" The boy replied enthusiastically, "Yes, Master. When you return, I will have finished the Buddha for you." The next morning, the head priest departed, leaving the boy to live with the monks. A few days later, the boy chopped down the tree and got ready to make the Buddha. The boy wanted to carve a beautiful Buddha and make the head priest happy. He worked night and day, patiently carving as carefully as he could. A year later, the head priest came back from his preaching. The boy was very anxious and excited. He showed the head priest his Buddha, which was 5 feet tall. He hoped to earn the head priest's trust, and he eagerly waited to be praised. But the head priest looked at the Buddha, and he knew the boy had sincerely done his best. However, he decided to give the boy a further test. He said, "Boy, it is well done, but it seems it is too big for me. It is not the size which I was expecting. Since I have to leave the temple again to preach for another year, could you use this time to make the Buddha smaller?" The boy was very disappointed and unhappy. He had thought that when the head priest saw the Buddha, he would be accepted as a student and he could start his Kung Fu training. However, in order to make the head priest happy, he said, "Yes, Master, I will make it smaller." Even though the boy had agreed, the head priest could see from the boy's face that this time he did not agree willingly from his heart. However, he knew that this time the test would be a real one. The next morning the head priest left, and again the boy stayed with the monks to fulfill his promise. The boy started carving the Buddha, trying to make it smaller, but he was disappointed and very unhappy. He forced himself to work, but after 6 months had gone by, he found that he had carved an ugly, unhappy Buddha. The boy was very depressed. He found that he couldn't work on the Buddha when he was so unhappy, so he stopped working. Days passed days, weeks passed weeks. The date of the head priest's return was getting closer. His chances of becoming a student of the head priest were getting slimmer and slimmer, and his unhappiness was growing deeper and deeper. One morning, he suddenly realized an important thing. He said to himself, "If completing the Buddha is the only way I can learn Kung Fu, why don't I make it good and enjoy it?" After that, his attitude changed. Not only was he happy again, he also regained his patience and his will was stronger. Day and night he worked. The more he worked, the happier he was, and the more he enjoyed his work. Before the boy noticed it, the year was up and he had almost completed his happy and refined Buddha. When the head priest came back, the boy came to see him with his new Buddha. This carving was 2 feet tall and smiling. When the priest saw the Buddha, he was very pleased. He knew that the boy had accomplished one of the greatest challenges a person can face, conquering himself. However, he decided to give the boy one final test. He said, "Boy, you have done well, but it seems it is still too big for me. In a few days I have to leave the temple again for another year of preaching. During this time, could you make this Buddha even smaller?" Surprisingly, this time the boy showed no sign of being disappointed. Instead he said, "No problem, Master, I will make it smaller." The boy had learned how to enjoy his work. The head priest left again. This time the boy enjoyed his work. Every minute he could find he spent on his task, carefully making the carving more lifelike and refined. His sincerity, his patience, and his growing maturity became expressed in the Buddha's face. 1 year later, the head priest returned. The boy handed him a Buddha which was only 2 inches tall and which had the finest artwork one could ever find. The head priest now believed that the boy would be a successful martial artist. The boy had passed the test. He went on to become one of the best students of the Shaolin Temple. I love that story because it speaks of the human condition and our naivety. In the beginning, we are full of enthusiasm and excitement, not knowing the hardships ahead. Then, life intervenes and we experience hardships that test us personally. Only life knows how best to break you down and shake you to your foundations. For many of us, this is where the story ends. We eke out a meagre existence, taking what we can get, and afraid to push ourselves to our limits. We've already flown too close to the sun. We have met our dragon. So how is one to regain their strength, their confidence, their teeth? Moreover, how is one to gain their confidence in the first place? Our modern world is now one of anxiety, uncertainty, and nostalgia. It is a heady and lonely cocktail with a bitter taste, and yet we imbibe it on an almost hourly basis. In reaction, we seek out outside personalities that are full of testosterone and animalistic confidence, hoping that this time their magic will rub off on us. Now trapped in a cycle, we are left with apathy, loneliness, an annoying feeling that we have let ourselves down. Then comes the rationalization, the excuses, the blame. We vainly attempt to take on the chores that we decided we should be doing, yet never seem to have the willingness to complete or even start. Now we too sit alone with our ugly carving, wishing for some kind of redemption. The little boy in our story then understands he has hit the fuck it moment, where our current model of ourself is abandoned and we no longer care at all about anything. In this moment, we are free to move forward and rebuild ourselves anew into something that could be radically different. Our young hero, or perhaps it's better to say our young self, then decides that he has no choice but to continue with his labour. He may as well enjoy it. He may as well change his attitude, interrupt his thoughts of how unfair and angry and wrong things might be, and find some love for what he must do. He resumes his carving in a joyful and happy state, this time by conscious choice, reframing his attitudes towards his goals. He is well aware of what he must face, but now he no longer regards it as insurmountable. This is no longer a zero-sum game. He's no longer inadequate to the task. And you are not a failure. He's now having some fun with it. He's alive again. He's vibing with it, so to speak. I'd like to add my own little note here and remind you all that this mindset of viewing things positively is a constant effort and just as important as diet and training. You can't skip a workout. So too, you can't skip reminding yourself that you're a better person. You're not dwelling on the hardships you face. You're dwelling on the aspects that make you come alive. For example, you're not afraid of being hit. You relish the opportunity to spar. You're not afraid of paying your bills. You're excited to generate your own wealth. You're not afraid of talking to those people that you're attracted to. You enjoy being social and chatting with people that you meet. You don't need to lift the heaviest weight. You're excited at the idea of working your body to its limits, to flow and explode in a mental euphoric sense. All of this is a daily task, one that can be fun, even if it seems hard on the outside. On the inside, however, it is akin to swimming in a warm ocean, a joyful, peaceful experience. I'd also just like to add that you are permitted to forgive your mistakes. You are not the sum total of your decisions. You are more than what you have become. I hope we can all remain here in this mindset. So that's the end of the video, and I hope this has been entertaining and maybe even helpful. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.